going on, everyone? Gilman with Live Wealthy back with our daily Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded today, some key support and resistance levels to look out for, and based on that, what the future for the stock could look like. So real quick, if you enjoyed these, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you are new. Each like and subscribe really helps me as I'm trying to grow the channel, and comment down below if you are in Apple or what your thoughts or trade plans on Apple are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So wasting no time, let me hit record and we'll get right into it. So it should be a relatively quick one. There wasn't a lot of action as we sort of expected, right? Going into today, being the day before Thanksgiving, a lot of people are probably, not trading as heavily as they typically are. So we'll take a look at kind of how it, stock traded today. I'll share a trade that I took on pretty early on in the day, for those of you that care about how I trade. And then we'll kind of see what the future for the stock could look like. So, right off the gate, what I really like to see was, we pushed up. We started in the 115s. We pushed up to the mid 116s, and then we went down, right? Tested VWAP, which, as you guys know, I love looking at the VWAP. And then we pushed up again, kind of broke that high from previous. That it said kind of previously, and then we pushed down, but this time it was a little bit more of a sell-off. So went past the VWAP. Good news is it came up and then tested VWAP, broke it again, and then went up. Now this time that it went up, it actually broke the previous high. So as you can see, it set this high, and then it made a lower high, but then it made a higher high that was higher than the two previous highs that it had made earlier in the morning, which was definitely a good sign for the stock. But that was pretty much it in terms of high. Then it was a little bit of a sell-off kind of towards VWAP, broke below VWAP, hit VWAP, above VWAP, below VWAP, above VWAP, and kind of ended at VWAP. So for the latter half of the day, again as expected, right, it was a lot of sideways trading. We were finding support in the 115.70s. We were getting rejected in the mid 116s, low to mid 116s. And it was just back and forth. So that's what happened with Apple. For those of you guys that saw from the video yesterday, I was still in those Apple 115 calls. I was able to get out of them for just a little bit of a profit, not too much, because I had bought them, before we went down a couple days ago. So was able to scratch those. I'll share a trade that I took, but let's take a look at the daily chart so we can kind of finish the analysis here. So as we can see, today is the first day that we've made a higher high in a really, really long time. In the past 7 days, I believe it was. Yeah, for the previous 7 days from before today, we were making lower highs. A lot of those days we're also making lower lows. Today marks the first day we've made a higher high and a higher low. So that's a really good sign for the stock. For those of you guys that have been watching me for a while, there are sort of ranges that we're watching, right? We're watching the 117, 119, and 121.50. If we go back, I'm not gonna go all the way back, but it's held up as good support and or resistance around those three levels. And the same thing with 113, since we visited it yesterday, that's held up as good support. As you could see, yesterday's candle, the candle here on 1104, and the bottom of the wick right bouncing right off that 113, 112.70s range. So today marks the first day that we pushed up. In terms of, so there's two things that can happen. Personally, for me, Friday, I'm expecting to be slow as well. So I don't know how much movement we'll see, but we'll kind of play it as we get it. But if we move up, the first sort of point to knock out would be the high of today, right? So we share that 116.75 high that we got before we started trading, before we went back down to VWAP and started trading sideways. That's sort of the first point to knock out, which kind of coincides with this 117 line that we've had drawn. And then I'd like to see the stock pushing 117. And then we'll be in between this 117, 119 range, as we were for a couple of days when we were trading sideways. So then the next point would be kind of, points that we weren't able to break before we hit the 119 mark. And once we get to the 119, then I want to see it knock out, some of these highs that were in the 120.67, 120.99, then break this channel of 121.50, then 121.99, and then if we go back to mid-October, we've got the 123 and 125 point to sort of break through. I know that's a lot of numbers, right? But the reason I'm sharing those with you is, let's say Apple were to go up from 116 on Friday, right? Again, Friday might be a slow day, but let's say the trading day after that, right? We go up. What am I watching? I'm watching to see that 117 mark, or actually the first thing I'm watching is the high for today, which was 116.75. Do we break that or do we get rejected? If we get rejected, right, then it's a matter of finding support. But if we break through 116.75, then I'm watching to see if we can break through that 117 mark. And then I'm watching to see if we can break through the next point. That's sort of how I trade, right? Knowing those resistance points coming up can really help you see where you can sell or where you can buy, right? At the support or at the resistance. Similarly, for support, we've got the low point of today at 115.17. That should hold up as support. Then we've got the 112.59, which really coincides with this 113 mark. Now we take a look at some of the indicators that we look at. So we've got the 20-day moving average coming in at 116.25. That's kind of where we are now. After hours, we're at 116.22. And then we've got the 50-day moving average coming in at 115.47, which also should hold up as pretty good support, right? Today's low was 115.17. The 50 moving average line is 115.47, pretty close to each other. And then let's take a look at some of the EMAs. So we've got the 8 EMA at 116.60, 21 at 116.67, 34 at 116.33. So they're all kind of bunched up together, right? And I'd like to see the stock trading above these EMAs. That's a bullish sign for the stock, right? So, you know, recapturing these EMAs. And then on the bottom, we've got the 55 EMA at 115.04. So as we could see, the bounce today, right, the 115.17 was in between that moving average that I just talked about being in the mid 115s and the low 115.04 55 EMA. So that's something to keep in mind if you're looking at these, right? They don't have to be perfect bounces off of them. They might be 10, 15, 20 cents apart before it bounces. And then the 89 EMA, which as I've talked about before, that has held up as really, really good support, is at all the way at 111.39 if we break that 113 channel. So there's all sort of numbers to keep in mind. If Apple does drop and it's just going through a bunch of these, that's worrisome for me. That's when I know to not fight the trend and get out of the trade. But you know, these levels hold up, then it kind of puts me in a position to either add to my position or you know, take on new positions. So let me share you know, what I bought today and my reasoning for it. So it was a 114 call, bought it for 325. I was able to get out for 2 contracts. I was able to get out with $100. Let me just kind of share the buy and sell just to show you how close of how I didn't hold it for too long. So filled, let's see, 8:46 a.m. and I sold at 10. So I held it for about an hour, bought it for 325, sold it for 375. So 650 buy, 750 sell. And let me kind of walk you guys through that trade. So let me get rid of the indicator here. So let's see, what time did I buy again? I want to make sure I'm pointing to the right drop here. So no, not that one. So 8:46, right? So that was around here. So when Apple went up and it got rejected by the 116.54 mark, or around that mark, then it went down, and at that point, like I said in my initial analysis, I'm watching the bounce off VWAP. Do we bounce off of VWAP and then we push up, or do we kind of get rejected and we push down? We bounce. As soon as we bounce, that's when I got in my position. I was looking for a new high a day, or at least a revisit to the high a day, which we got. And then, you know, I was like, oh, maybe we pushed to 117. So I didn't sell, right? Bad decision on my end, didn't sell. And then what we saw was, you know, a little bit of a sell-off, and then we pushed up, then we sold off, and then we pushed up, right? So at what point do we want to sell, right? So actually, maybe I did sell up here. I don't think I held it for that long. Yeah, I sold it at 10:01, which was right here. Okay. So sorry, that I'm mixing up 2 trades that I took on today. I also took on a trade on Amazon. So ignore what I just said. When it went down, I bought it. When it went up, I was looking for a new high, but when it didn't set that new high and I saw it going down again, that's when I sold. Still made $100, still made about 13-14% in a matter of an hour. And that's sort of why I'm sharing that to you. Not to just kind of, you know, share a trade, but kind of how I made that trade and what I look for. Bounces off VWAP, revisit high of day, and if it doesn't kind of knock it out, then sort of exiting that position before it goes down again. So hope you guys found that helpful. If you did, drop a like, subscribe to my channel as I'm trying to grow. Drop a comment down below. Hope you guys all have an amazing Thanksgiving this week. Hope you guys are all safe and get a lot of good food in your system. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.